I think the last project was 2018. I was like, I'm working with Spielberg, which at the time was kind of like a dream since I was a kid. I grew up with E.T. and I was like, oh yeah, I'm working with him. And deeply inside, I'm not feeling happy. Actually, I'm not feeling well because I was working so many hours, connecting with people, also colleagues, was sometimes challenging, finding like similar values. And more and more, like it came up this big question like, am I doing something truly aligned with my essence and with my values? And I had kind of like an insight that was like, no, my body says no.
Hi, and welcome to this episode of Essence. Today, I have the massive honor to have Jacopo Miceli with me. Jacopo found his path from being an award-winning film director, working with Steven Spielberg, to currently living in Europe's largest Buddhist monastery called Plum Village in France. Plum Village was, by the way, founded by the global spiritual teacher, poet, and peace activist Thich Nhat Hanh. In this episode, he will be sharing his journey and learnings, and we will explore how we can live our essence through coming into the present moment and non-judgmental listening. I'm super grateful to have you here, Jacopo. Welcome.
Thank you so much, John. Much gratitude for having me here. Yeah, when you ask when was the last time I connect with my essence, the first moment that came to mind was actually an hour ago, so quite recent. I've been practicing nonviolent communication for the past 4 years. And now in the past few months, I had empathy buddy, which is a person I connect with monthly. And we just share from the heart how we feel, what we're going through. It's a moment of connection we have. And to me, having, despite the distance, connecting on Zoom and be able to be there for each other, it's very, very special. And I feel in that moment, an hour ago, yeah, I'm happily in my body and connecting with this person, just sharing my truth, which to me is very close to essence of who am I.
Beautiful. Thank you for sharing that. And I was just now thinking, for anyone that doesn't know nonviolent communication or empathy buddies, what is it like that you experience in connection with this empathy buddy? What does he or she do? What does that look like?
So sometimes it's more structure, but this time it was very like a normal conversation. And the way we practicing is really giving space for each other. And with giving space, I mean that we take turns. So sometimes someone is listening and I'm fully sharing, and the other person is really holding space, like giving time and silence and fully listening to what I'm sharing. And then we swap, and I'm also able to receive the other person, whatever comes up, which might be like unpleasant feelings or like difficult moments. And as I'm listening, I'm not really trying to give advice, or I'm trying to also witness if there is any judgment coming up, like I wouldn't do this, or this is wrong, or oh, she's so sensitive, or anything like that. But it's more like, how can I be fully in her shoes or his shoes, like in their experience? And it's kind of liberating and deeply connecting. That's my experience.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. And I wanted to also ask you, like, in this very moment that you described, that you had 1 hour ago, what would you say, what shifted for you through having someone else hold the space, as you said, and just listening without judging? What shifted for you? What was the impact?
Thank you for asking this. Now I feel like in touch with a very tender part in me. I feel I grew up like in an environment like family, like it's not their fault, but also community with lots of judgment. And I noticed that when there is no judgment, there's a part that is kind of like surprise. At least it's still surprise up to today when I'm in these kind of spaces. It's like, I'm not received with judgment. I can be fully open and be there. And it's a very intimate experience of being fully seen. And it brings like some relaxation, some relief as well of like, yeah, that's me and I don't need to be ashamed of that part. I can fully embrace it. I can offer it as a gift in a way to the other person. It's like, uh, yeah. Also allows me to not be judgmental to that part. Like I feel guilt and I can just share like there's a part that feels guilt and it's okay. And we can overanalyze, but it's not what I'm trying to do, but just give space for it to manifest and appear and in a way, yeah, offering a welcoming energy. Like you're also welcome. I'm still practicing. It's not all the time as easy as I'm sharing. Sometimes it's more challenging and I feel more caught in bigger emotion. Sometimes I feel despite all the practices and an experience I'm still failing, and then I'm like, there's a part that feels I'm failing. So I can, it's an ongoing process.
Beautiful. Thanks for sharing that and for letting us in into like this vulnerable part of you as you described. And I can actually imagine that some of the people listening right now had similar experiences in the sense that some might say, yes, I also grew up in an environment where I felt that many people were judging me. And I was now thinking like, if someone can relate to that, what what could be first steps into entering a world or a new reality um, where there's less judgment or where there's more space? And maybe you want to share, like, in your experience, what were the first steps that you took or what supported you in finding yourself more in this kind of non-judgmental spaces?
Mm, yeah, take a moment to think. For me, there's something about validation that I started practicing with myself. So yeah, and especially like I notice my field where I'm currently working and learning a lot is relationships, like either romantic or friendships, which are the most closest one. Sometimes when I share like a vulnerable part in the past or also recent time, I've been received with like sometimes not that welcoming energy, or at least I perceive as such. So first is to me practicing. I'm feeling the anxiety, for example, in the relationship for something that happened and I don't have clarity. And yeah, tell myself that's valid, even if the other person doesn't see it, because at that very moment they don't have enough information. I haven't been able to share it fully or in the way I wish I could. I can start offering myself that presence of, yeah, I feel anxious, and that's also okay. It's part of my process. And that already brings some relaxation. And then it's like, how can I share it if I really want to share it? And usually I do. For the sake of bringing honesty and authenticity into a relationship for me, both um, deeply important values. I'm like, yeah, first it's acknowledging for myself, and this is happening and it's valid. I might feel shame, and then it's like something else. It's like also shame. It's welcome and valid. It's part of my experience. And then how can I offer it to someone else as a sharing? Still working on how to share it in a very compassionate way. But the first part of welcoming, I'm slowly getting there. It takes time. It takes time because I have all this inner voice that's like, you shouldn't do that. Why you haven't done that? You've been learning nonviolent communication, but someone from the other side is perceiving you as violent. Why? I'm really, longing for share realities or like both experience. And that's also okay. Part of the process.
Yeah, I can imagine that is a lifelong path of learning and growing and practicing, and yeah, this it keeps changing. And I noticed a word that you mentioned. You said um, sharing also the vulnerable, the uncomfortable parts. You didn't say it like that, and different is like a gift. Um, what do you mean by that? How can sharing something uncomfortable be a gift for someone else?
Ah, this is really nice question. It's something I'm trying to practice with every time. I noticed that if I only share the joyful moments, it's so beautiful, but also sharing that vulnerable part where I feel kind of fear of being hurt. When I do, first it's very liberating for me because I can acknowledge my full self. It's like it's not something I'm hiding. And before I really unconsciously kind of not wear a mask, but I was like, I'm gonna protect that like tender part. I don't want people to see it because I feel almost naked, in front of someone else, sometimes in public. But now I really sense the beauty because it's kind of something vulnerable, something tender, something related to fears sometimes in myself, at least doubts. And when I share it to someone else, it requires a lot of courage. And it's like, this is part of me, and it's something I feel almost afraid to share. So that's why I sense it's like a gift, because it's such a like intimate part.
Mm.
And I've been noticing that when the other person is doing the same, it's really opening up and share also that vulnerable part beyond the joyful moments. To me, it's really important to also share the joy and happiness, but to bring like more balance also. Including and embracing also the uncomfortable feelings. It's really deeply intimate. It kind of brings me to a different level, much more profound. And in a way, it's either very profound, so I can see like very grounding energy, and also so high, kind of divine energy. We go beyond. And with divine is something I experience more on the level of connecting to a share humanity. I share some struggles, and also when I hear your struggles, I can really relate, and it kind of removes the veil of you are perfect or I project you to be perfect. And when you share also what you're going through, I can really connect with you. And that's I struggle to find words actually because it's such a special moment when that happen.
I can totally feel what you mean, and I can imagine that I had like similar experiences of this shared reality of me sharing my truth in the sense of sharing everything what's alive for me, if it's anger, frustration, sadness, happiness, overwhelm. and the other person just listens to me and shares the same. And I wanted to ask you, like, why would it matter for each and every one of us to practice this skill on the level of society, on a global level? Like, what do you imagine could be the impact in the world if we as individuals started practicing what you just shared?
Hmm. It would be beautiful and also nourishing and also challenging. To me, created spaces and relationship based with this openness and space for be fully ourselves and myself. It's really transformative because I notice over time that the body kind of not having like some judgment or someone trying to fix. It's just very, in a way, scary at first. It can be scary. I feel like almost left alone in a sense with my own feelings, despite the person it's in front of me. I grew up with someone kind of parents fixing, oh, you're sad, I'm gonna do something to make you happy. But then having someone that it's, I'm here for your sadness, for example, which is a feeling I connect from time to time deeply. And be there, I'm like, I'm in a space where I can really learn more about my sadness and I can not have fear of looking sadness in the eyes, and I can be here. I can be in this uncomfortable feeling and not need distraction. And I noticed that in the past I wasn't really able to stay that much in that time, and I was like reaching for comfort foods or reaching out to friends or going to the cinema, scrolling on my phone, which is, again, nothing bad about that. And to me, that's not about that's a good behavior or not a good behavior. But I noticed that I was basically consuming things because I didn't want to stay in that uncomfortable feeling. And also with friendship, I noticed when I'm meeting someone, it's like a friend. Am I here because I really want to be here, or it's just an escape from something else? I felt alone at home and I'm reaching out for a friend. Is it I want to connect and contribute to that space, or it's just me being feeling alone and really trying to consume or distract myself with something? So now I'm just bringing that awareness, which doesn't mean I'm not connecting with friends. I'm eating a lot of chocolate at the moment in winter. So, but it's just doing like mindfully or being aware of or questioning at least, am I doing for which reason? And to bring it on the bigger scale, as you you ask, I think building communities where we can really fully show up and not be linked to that fear of if I'm vulnerable, I'm gonna be perceived as a weak person and I'm not gonna be valued, or again, I'm not able to stay with my pain, so I need to consume. It's pretty much to me what we are looking most of the time. Now we're approaching Black Friday in US, and it's
Right.
kind of like this kind of systemic needs to consume more and more to feel happy. Yeah, I think if we start connecting with each other on that level, it would be very nourishing as community as well. Because yeah, it will be very fulfilling, and not necessarily we would need to get distracted all the time. But we could do activities together, but not as a mean to escape, but as a mean to contribute. I think that would be the shift. But that's my take. How is
Yeah.
it for you?
Yeah, I can totally imagine this the same, like a similar movement. And I was also thinking of what we're speaking about feels to me such a big part of society and such a huge lever of if we're consuming in order to avoid our feelings, we end up in a world of distraction and not a real deep satisfaction. So, looking at it from a different angle, we could say if we dare to feel, and you spoke about the challenges, and it's the holding, just being with these sometimes very uncomfortable sensations, but feeling this and bringing this into connection can actually lead to a more fulfilled life and deeper satisfaction and deeper connection to ourselves and one another. So I find this very, very beautiful and such a huge topic, actually. I'm grateful for that it just came up, and that
Yeah,
we
me
could
too.
get to share that. And now I'm actually curious also about connecting this a little bit to your path.
Hmm.
Like if you try to make this bridge between from distraction and consumption to connection and feeling to your own path, um, yeah, do you want to share with us your path and how this might be related? Maybe it's not related, but I'm just curious.
Yeah, I'm smiling widely, John, because it's something I had in mind that just pop up. Is like actually I explored that. uh, so thank you for bringing that up. I celebrate this space and its magic. Yeah, I've been there. I'm still distracting myself from time to time, but I sense I experience some extremes. So long story short, I grew up in Italy, and then at some point I discovered a strong passion for film and movies, as stories really allow me to, as I was growing up, to yeah, be in someone else's shoes, like empathize with stories and words very far away from mine. So I entered into film industry like a step at a time, and eventually that took about yeah, something like 14 years of my life into that space of storytelling. Um, and then as I was getting more and more involved, I and had some dreams. Like I would love to work with certain directors and bigger projects. I wonder how is that. I end up working for Disney and Warner Brothers, and not only them in the UK. And that was very meaningful experience because I was working 80 hours a week, so very intense. Um, and then it's when I reach, I think the last project was 2018. I was like, I'm working with Spielberg, which at the time was kind of like a dream since I was a kid. I grew up with E.T. I was like, oh yeah, I'm working with him. And deeply inside, I'm not feeling happy. Actually, I'm not feeling well because I was working so many hours, connecting with people, also colleagues, was sometimes challenging, finding like similar values. And more and more, like it came up this big question like, am I doing something truly aligned with my essence and with my values? And I had kind of like an insight that was like, no, my body says no. And for many different reasons, which first it was kind of like we are mostly producing movies that were like entertainment. So it's like, I feel with this content, I'm not really allowing people to look deeply in themselves or questioning with their lifestyle or their emotion, but it's more like a fairy tale. And I really see the potential and how helpful entertainment is. And at the same time, I feel like, is this what I want to contribute to the world? It's spending 11 months to create a moment for people to basically put the brain in standby, enjoy a story tale, like a fairy tale, and then go back to their lives. And that question came up more and more. I was like, actually, no, I want to explore something else. And that took me to, difficult decision to quit, which I think the difficulty wasn't really about quitting the job, going to an employer and I'm not working anymore for you. But I think the difficulty was disconnecting from a dream I had since high school and be like, this is not alive in me anymore, or at least not in this form. So ever since I moved to like more ethical organization and association, offering support in making videos. And from last year, I feel like I'm in a different transition as well, because I joined a community in France. It's within a mindfulness practice center called Plum Village, founded by Zen Master Thich Nhat Hanh, Vietnamese teacher who passed away a couple of years ago. And we practice mindfulness, which is how can I, throughout the day, from when I wake up to when I go back to bed at night, be in contact with my nature and my essence again, and be at ease with whatever comes up. And that has been, truly beautiful and intense a journey.
Wow. Thank you for taking us on this journey together. And wow, what a path. And I can imagine that if someone's listening who is into film or making videos and the movie industry listens to you saying, well, I was working with Spielberg and doing all these amazing things, and then I just decided to leave. That this must make someone think. What was it in you were speaking about in your body? It felt, no, I don't want to continue this path anymore. How did you experience that? Because I imagine there must be a very strong no to something and maybe also a very strong yes to something else to make such a decision.
Yeah. I feel at the time I wasn't really in touch with my body much, but I could sense I wasn't sleeping well. Um, I was feeling like sometimes very tired or low energy. And I was in that kind of mindset. I was like, probably because I'm not taking enough vitamins, so I was taking supplements. And that was like, how can I fix it? While now I'm more like, can I look at my body as an incredible organism that can really tells me if I have a headache, if I have some pain. It's actually a way, it's its own language. Am I actually able to listen to that or just try to fix it and be like, I feel stress, okay, I just take something that calms me down. Can I really tune in with the body? So at the time I felt really stressed, really tired. I remember if I was stopping from time to time, there was a very fast-paced environment. I remember eating, all of us, but also myself, eating in front of the screen because there's no time for stopping and eating. Very different from what we practice here at Plum Village. That it's like stop, connect with the food, be in silence, fully enjoying this miracle that it's gonna nourish the body. And at the time, it was like eating, reading emails. So I felt something wasn't right. And it's something about the intuition, like a deep intuition that was saying, something is not right. I can't really tell what. If I was stopping, I remember people coming and be like, are you working? So I remember meditation app really support me at the time to kind of go through, um, yeah, guided meditation to really connect with the body and calm myself down. But it was tough, like really tough. I remember like surreal moments that the only place where I could really stop without having one asking if I was working or not, why I wasn't working in their view. It was like hiding in toilets, like going to the toilets, sit because I could sit somewhere, close the door, and have like headphones and go through like a guided meditation for like 10 minutes, and no one would say like you spend too much time in the toilet, you know. If I look back, I smile that I have to reach the extreme of like hiding myself to connect with myself, which is. And also I remember it was quite surreal having big screen in the office. I don't know whose idea was that, but they put big screen with BBC News on mute all the time. So we couldn't hear anything, but we were talking about, of course, like, I just let you imagine big film production, like private jets, like things I was really feeling lots of resistance. And then I was looking up and it was like these screens with, at the time there was like Australia on fire for the like climate change, there were like migrants on boats reaching Italy. And I had that and I was like, what am I doing? And I realized that that question, what am I doing? It was so tough to answer that I preferred to stay busy. But at some point it kind of reached a level that was like, I feel something is not right and I'm not able to close my eyes like horses. Like I'm not looking around, I'm just looking at my thing. And how much courage it would require to restructure, in a way, all my life or my routines and what I feel like comfort in order to feel more aligned that I'm contributing in a way that I sense more meaningful for me. Um, so yeah, I don't know. I feel I share a lot. I hope
I
it's
find
not
it
too
super
much.
interesting and inspiring, and I can imagine also that that resonates with many people. Um, Maybe it's a different flavor of that, a different form, but in the essence, this I can't be myself. I'm not allowed in this environment to share myself. I need to hide in order to be myself, which is very paradox, as you were saying it. Um, so I think this can reach many people's experience, lived experience. And yeah, I would love to hear from you, like whether which were the things that supported you. You mentioned already this meditation hub. What other things supported you in this time?
Hmm. Yeah, meditation really help because it allows me to find time, even if it was like those 5 minutes or 10 minutes per day, which is very different from what I'm practicing now, which is much longer. But at the time, even 5 minutes to slow down or stop, I could sense this part inside is like, I want to be seen, I want to act differently, and I'm keep constantly say, this is not right. Um, Not as a general thing. It was like this is not right for me, for what I believe in. So I think meditation help. It help taking time off. So after the experience I took after the big film in 2018, I took a few months just to kind of slow down, connect with myself. I call it my own vacation at the time, which also to like for the sake of honesty included like some depression, because after so many years of having this dream since high school of working in film, and then be like, maybe it's not what I want to do, and feel pressure from like, in a way, family. Like my parents never been like pressuring me on anything, so I'm so grateful to them. But still, it took some time to tell them I wanted to be on film, and then when they saw like that I was kind of not succeeding but doing well, saying like, yeah, I changed my mind. I could sense there was not some resistance. They were really supportive, but it was something difficult to bring up. And also that, yeah, I don't know if dopamine of when friends share, like ask you like, what are you doing? It's like, I work like on this big movie. Oh wow, so cool. And be like, actually not, but how can I bring this topic if I'm not fully like embracing the vulnerability? So I think what really supported me at the time was meditation, taking time for myself to write down. I remember I put a big paper on a wall in my tiny apartment in London and write values, like things I really care, and I put on the wall. I just wrote, and I was waking up every day. I have those words there. I was like, aha, this feels resonates. They are my core values. They're here. And then kind of rebuilding from there. And then massive gratitude to friends, partner at the time, and friends that really support and were like, okay, you feel it's not the thing you want to do, and that's okay. And I felt like probably for the first time like strong validation of and support, like you're not feeling it's right. So probably my advice would be, yeah, finding that support, that people, that tribe I would call, that resonates with your value, that can support you in that transition, or just to be there for you and receiving you with whatever comes up. There was massive, great support. Yeah, people, friends.
I'm so happy personally that you had this support at this time, to find your way to somewhere else, because I can imagine that it feels very, um, yeah, maybe alone in a way, but also in this question of, am I just being crazy? This is the greatest dream, but I'm not feeling it now. I'm wrong. I should be different. This, like, with all these self doubts that might have also been part of your world, having people, as you said, that can validate your experience and just hold you and be with, okay, I hear something has changed in your life and you want something else. Tell me about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
What is it currently, that you're, because you described that you're right now in Plum Village. What is it that you're taking as inspiration from this place? And maybe you want to describe it a little bit more for people who don't know it, what it is. Which kind of inspiration are you taking from this environment to live your essence more and more?
I could answer for another hour. Many different things. Something I would like to add to something that really support me in the transition has been like encountering nonviolent communication, because that really exploring a different way of, yeah, connecting with myself, because in nonviolent communication I could connect with, yeah, my body sensation, but also feelings, and more deeply, and it's the core of nonviolent communication, my needs, and be really in tune with those needs really gave me a strong sense of empowerment at the time. I was like, actually, I have a strong resource in me, and I can find the happiness and can find the wisdom within without seeking outside for things that makes me happy. So when I arrived in Plum Village last year for 10 days, I found a space that was very rich of that non-violent communication principles and being able to support each other in a community where we hold spaces for each other and try to practice not judgmental listening and not judgmental speaking. It's truly transformative because, it creates this space that I never experienced before, where I can really look at my patterns or like some inner processes, which much more, I would say love and appreciation. As before, I was more like judgmental or even not even aware of some of the processes. Someone says it's like being constantly auto-analysis, but I don't see it like that. But I take it that from outside, it might look at like that. But basically, mindfulness is the way we practice here at Plum Village. It's connecting with the breath and with the body, and just bring awareness on whatever that is. So if the mind goes with thoughts in the past, we can recognize that we are traveling in the past and it's not the real here and now. And same for future. Sometimes I found myself quite often getting maybe some anxiety, and I'm questioning myself, am I here in this present moment, or I'm worrying about things in the future, like some planning. And monastics said something quite challenging. That one monk found great inspiration. He said, an untrained mind is an unhappy mind. So if you let your mind completely free, in a way, it's going to be unhappy. So I've been practicing with it because, like, what? How is that possible? But I can see that if I'm not bringing my mind to the present moment, to what it's really happening, I'm really lost in my story, which can be really beautiful, but most of the time it's quite suffering, an experience full of suffering, because I'm trapped in projection, for example, in relationship. When I met that person, that was so beautiful, and it can be beautiful, but I'm like, but the present moment, how is it? Like what I'm experiencing? Am I feel like ease and fully at peace or not? And it's so, it's been very challenging for me to recognize. It's like not, but I still feel loved for that person. How can I honor my needs and boundaries of feeling something is not right, like I experience in films, and at the same time honoring the connection and be there for the other person. I don't know if it makes any sense, but I brought some different fields I've been practicing. And here it's kind of the idea is you don't only practice meditation when you're seated, but a Plum Village is also in a way when you leave your room, even when you wake up. But let's say you leave your room to go to the meditation hall, that's already a meditation hall, the path, like outside. So that can be already time for practicing. And can I generate peace at each step? Am I able to find that resource inside despite the conditions surrounding me? And I noticed that by cultivating the inner peace and with peace comes, I notice in myself, joy. I'm really more open to embrace all the pain and all the suffering with a different capacity. I'm there, I'm like, okay, there's also pain and it's very unpleasant, but I'm also able to tap inside to some joy, and I can basically embrace that pain with joy. This is something that I'm currently practicing. Sometimes it's just really painful and it's also okay. But it's over time it's giving more like harmony. Yeah, for sure.
I find it so beautiful the words that you use, like generating peace with every step. It's like, wow, that could be a title of a movie, generating peace with every step.
But that's a Thich Nhat Hanh piece at every step. And it's so beautiful, his teachings. He like he didn't say you find peace after 40 minutes of walking meditation. It was like, am I able to create that peace at the first step? Not
Mm.
after 20 minutes of meditation. Can we tap right away? But I'm not aiming for that perfection. Sometimes, even when I'm eating, if I be fully present for my food for like even one spoon, that's already like a big achievement. And I noticed when I was exploring more like meditation, I was really putting lots of pressure on myself on I need to be perfect. I need to spend 40 minutes fully focused on my breath, not caught in thinking. And to me, like offering love to myself is also okay. I've been connected for 10 minutes and then my mind wander for like the rest of the time. But those 10 minutes tomorrow can be 15 minutes, then 20 minutes. I can build up slowly. That's also very empowering, knowing that step by step we can build a space where we can constantly be in touch with the essence and honoring our own truth.
Okay. I had a thought while I was listening to you speaking about, um, yeah, living mindfulness, being in a mindful state when walking to the hall, the meditation hall, when eating your food, and listening to your story from before. Say, can these two worlds be combined in some way? And then I had this thought of this name, mindful movies, that came up. And I was like, that could be interesting. And what would that look like? And then I tried to imagine people watching this and ask myself, would people be very bored watching mindful movies? I just wanted to share that with you and see um, what happens if I share these thoughts.
I like it. The first thing that comes to mind is when Thich Nhat Hanh was living here at Plum Village. He was staying in one hut, that is still his hut, with a deck. And he was inviting like monastics or lay friends to sit on the deck and looking at the countryside in front. And it's really beautiful, green. Well, at the moment we are moving towards winter, so it's not that green anymore. But at the moment we have lots of foliage, so yellows and reds. And he used to call it the Plum Village television. So it was like, this is channel Plum Village television. It's the beauty, like we're already surrounded if we are able to see it to this beauty that has a different rhythm from fast pace. Like, and at Plum Village, I'm taking care, I'm one of the team member of the Happy Farm where we grow food. And to me, it's like the soil is one of the most profound teacher because it's kind of I can't force a lettuce or a kale plant to grow. It requires time, and why I'm not offering that to myself when I'm going through different challenges as I grow. Why I want to faster, I need to eat. It requires time. And the only thing I can do is creating conditions around the plant to thrive. And then that's the maximum I can do and just offering that care. But Having said that, I think it would be nice to have mindful movies that as you look, you kind of connect with your breath. But that could be a nice experiment, actually.
Thank you very much. And to everyone who was just listening or watching this podcast, I hope you take some inspiration from this conversation. I definitely take a lot of inspiration from that. And yeah, looking forward to seeing you and hearing you, being connected with you in the next episode of Essence. Thank you and see you next time.